tough time for you, in a weird way,
Yeah.
to say goodbye to something you've known as, well, you've only known since you were a young kid.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the decision. Why now, and why in the circumstances that you're doing it?
I'm quite a spontaneous person, I think. So I have been thinking about it with my wife since we've had kids. We've always wanted to do something, not other than rugby, but something other than live in Leicester, just to have a bit of an adventure for ourselves. And you know, obviously I've seen a lot of cool places with rugby, but I think we really want to experience, a different culture, I think, while our kids are still young, and that's probably the main reason why I've decided, now's a good time, while I've still got plenty of energy, to, do something completely different. And it's probably a bit out of the norm to do it at my age, but for me and my family, it feels like the right time.
You say your age, but you've obviously, you're retiring at, well, not retiring, but leaving the game at 29, 30, so you're starting fresh at 30.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
I don't know, it's one of them things, it gets us all the time. It probably won't sink in till, I've finished, and my last day or my last game, that's when you probably think about it and it hit you. But at the minute, I'm just excited for, not only my new sort of chapter, so to speak, but also to sort of play these last dozen or so games for the club. They're going to go really quick, so I'm very conscious of making sure I enjoy, every last day I've got here with the boys, and hopefully I think there's still some good memories to make here, before I leave. So that's sort of my main thinking at the minute.
And what is it you're doing? What is the change in direction?
So I'm going to be doing carpentry as sort of, that's the main oversight career sort of thing. I want to be a carpenter, and just had a visa approved to go to Australia to do that. So me and my family, 3 kids and wife, are going to be going over there hopefully in January, once I've finished here, and that will be however long we stay. I'm not sure, but that's the plan at the minute. I've been studying at college and doing quite a bit of work experience in carpentry, for the last few years, and I just feel like, while I am still relatively young, it's a good time to do it, because it is still a bit of a physical job, I suppose. So I do need both knees to do it and stuff like that. So yeah, it just feels like a good time.
Do you feel young?
Yeah, I think I do, and I don't want to play rugby and feel old, really. I think that's a big thing. I've always wanted to sort of leave on my terms, as hard as that is. Obviously, it's very easy and very tempting to just stay here until my body gives in, but I've just always wanted to do something almost before that comes to get me. So yeah, I'm happy to be leaving on my terms, but at the same time it will be difficult as well. But I feel like I am at that age where I want to do something while I've still got that drive within me.
You started your rugby at Hinckley,
Yeah.
Hinckley Rugby Club, and at school.
Yeah.
Do you remember those days? Do you remember why rugby was a choice you made?
Well, at that age, sort of 6, 7, I played everything really, like just football mad, rugby mad. Well, I didn't really know what rugby was, I don't think, till I was about 6, but my dad's friend, Bob Bow, was a coach at Hinckley, and played with his son Ryan, who obviously plays for Worcester now, played here for a long time. And that was a tremendous junior setup there, and there's a lot of good players who came through there, and I just never looked back, really. I just always did a lot of different sports up until I was sort of 16 and sort of went into the academy full time. So yeah, I can remember a lot about them days, and I think I owe a lot to my days back in Hinckley to what I've done now.
You mentioned being 16. When you arrived here at 16, you were obviously much younger and much more innocent, you could say, and you looked a lot different to you look now. You're almost a posh boy, almost a rugby-looking young man. What happened?
Well, I don't know. I think it's probably what the game does to you. But yeah, no, it's been a long time, and it just goes so quick. Like it genuinely does feel like 2 years ago since I've first got here, and it just goes so quick. Like each season feels like you're back having your photo for the programme like every other week, and it just goes so quick. So it's all quite hard to think about at the minute, as in to process, the different years and all memories you make. At the minute, I'm just sort of, I suppose, concentrating on the next few games, because that's the priority, really, as cliche as that is. I'm not really thinking about the big picture at the minute.
You're a family man now, obviously 3 kids and a wife you've been with for a long time, but when you arrived it was a little bit of a different story. You were a young little, I guess, ragamuffin in trouble, so to speak.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I suppose growing up, I was sort of quite a big family, so my brother was disabled, he was younger than me, and I think I sort of slipped the net in terms of my parents just didn't really have that much time to discipline me as a kid, so I ended up probably getting in a bit of trouble as a kid growing up, and I wasn't the best at school. I was never, doing really bad stuff, but I think I just potentially got in with not the wrong crowd, because I'm still mates with them now, so they're probably going to beat me up for saying that. But a lot of my friends do things that people do, but that aren't probably deemed acceptable as a professional athlete, and I sort of had to learn the hard way by getting in trouble with the police and stuff like that. And obviously Cockers was here at the time and pretty quickly drilled into me that I couldn't do them sorts of things. And I learned very quickly lessons that I think I probably would have learned somewhere along the line anyway. So I think it sort of drilled that discipline into me being here. Obviously it's a very regimented job to a point, and it almost taught me sort of how to go about as a member of society, really, being here, being on time, acting appropriately, being a good person. And I think, obviously my parents have brought me up really well, as have my friends, but, being here has been a huge part of my upbringing, really.
You met Brodie as well around the same time, your wife.
Yeah.
How big a role did she play in, I guess, keeping you in line?
Yeah, well, she's sort of been there through the worst of it and the best of it for me, and I think without her, I probably would have ended up somewhere very different to where I am now, to be honest. And it's probably something I've took for granted, having her as that sort of stable person to always speak to when times have been good and bad. So I obviously owe a lot to her, and that's been factored into this decision as well. It's something that she's always had a passion to do, and so I think I owe a lot to her. Obviously, she's the one who's looking after the kids on match day, not to mention giving birth to them. So I owe everything to her and my kids, and I think going to somewhere like Australia, which is where we're going, hopefully we'll repay her in some way for the hard work she's done as well.
You mentioned obviously your mum and dad and your brother as well, and your sisters too.
Yeah.
How big a part or how big a role have they played? I mean, everyone talks about how they drive you around as youngsters and they help you do, get the kit, get the boots. But how big a role have they played in your actual professional career?
Massive, really. I think my mum and dad are very different people. Yeah. My dad's, he is my biggest fan. He's Tigers' biggest fan. He's worried that he might not get a ticket to come and see them once I leave and stuff like that. So, Simon, if you're watching, give my dad a season ticket. Yeah, he's mad on sport, and obviously I think it's probably been a bit of a dream for him to come and watch me play at some of these stadiums and in these big occasions, and sometimes not watch me at all, and I'll be sitting on the bench, but he loves it, and it's probably a reward for him for all the driving and hours he's done around, because he was very busy in his job when he was working, and my mum was sort of always the one who's just that calm voice, and always told me to never take rugby too seriously, really, because if you take anything in life too seriously, it's not good. So very different sort of role models for me, my mum and dad, but they've been brilliant. Not to mention my 3 sisters as well. So they obviously mean a huge amount to me, and I'll miss them incredibly as well when I leave.
Not to single anyone out, but your brother as well has been someone you've worked hard to not only help and guide through, but you've done a lot for him and what he's going through as well.
Yeah.
How much has he been, not to get emotional or anything, but how much of an inspiration has he been for you?
Yeah, Joe's been, massive. Like, he's 4 years younger than me, so growing up, I just sort of never knew any different. You don't treat him as he's just your brother. So I used to try and, get him to play rugby, and I'd just end up beating him up just like any other older brother would do to their younger brother. And you know, Joe's managed to, he struggles with some environments, but he's eventually now really enjoys coming here. He sits on the front row now with my dad, and I think they'll probably keep doing that when I've left, hopefully, because I know, you know, how important that is to Joe in his routine, and he loves that. So again, like I know that he supports me, and he's been here at some, you know, massive games, and you know, him and my dad both, you know, love sitting here, and I think they'll be doing that for years to come. I think definitely.